Hey guys, it's Logan Freeman and Thomas Skevington with Clemens Real Estate. We wanted to connect with you guys today and kind of bring you an update. Today it is May 5th of 2020 and May 4th of 2020. I'm getting ahead of myself. And we want to kind of give you a pulse of what's going on in Kansas City real estate and kind of the update from what we're seeing on a regular basis. So I brought on Thomas. Thomas is a high volume transactions guy with Clemens Real Estate, mostly on the investment sales side of the business. And Thomas and I work on just about every transaction together. And so we thought we would come to you guys and just work through kind of some of the challenges that we're seeing, but how we're overcoming those. Because as I look at my list right here, Thomas, we closed the deal on Friday. We've got another deal closing on the 17th, another one closing on the 28th, and then two more in June as well. And, we have a special surprise. We have an opportunity for another multifamily building that's coming back to market here too. We want to update you guys on. So, Thomas, maybe talk to kind of how are property owners feeling out there right now in relation to selling their properties? Is there some hesitation? What's the sentiment that you're getting from them?
I think everyone's going to differ, but currently there's definitely hesitation. I do think we'll know a lot more in the next couple days.
Yeah.
A big part for both property owners and investors, I believe, has just been seeing how collections go. And at least for most of the properties I've been working on, April collections were actually very steady.
Yeah.
And so the hope is May will be the same as well. So really it's just been kind of putting things on pause, seeing how that goes. And a lot of property owners have other businesses that are affected by this crisis, and that's definitely forcing some people to sell. One of our transactions that's set to close here at the end of the month was an example of that, where this property owner has a business in California that had to basically shut down, and he's just trying to hedge his bets essentially and free up some cash. And so we're definitely seeing some of that, but we'll know more over the next 2 weeks, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. May will be an interesting, it's May 4th. So, May 5th to the 10th will be interesting to see how rents come in. And I'm curious, I keep getting this question of, well, I'm just sitting on the sidelines waiting for these big price declines to happen. And you and I have talked about this. I'm not really seeing a price decline per se. What I'm seeing is less competition in the bidding up of properties. So, for example, we're not seeing 5-6 offers come in at list price and above. It's more or less, hey, we might be able to take list or a little bit below list, and there's less volume of people actually making bids on properties, which then can obviously be a good buying environment for folks that can solidify credit and debt. So talk to me about that. Are you seeing the same thing on some of your transactions, just less competition, but not necessarily a widespread kind of decrease on pricing?
Yeah, I would agree. There's still a lot of investors out there looking for properties, and first and foremost, the sellers aren't going to immediately want to start lowering their requirements until they're forced to.
Right.
And so I think until we see some serious fallout from renters, specifically for multifamily, I guess it applies to retail and office as well. But, renters not being able to pay rent, I don't think the returns are really return requirements aren't going to lower for sellers,
right.
Especially with, as long as borrowing remains relatively cheap. That would be another factor. But I know there's been a little bit of volatility with that, but as long as that's staying below 5%, I think we'll basically see the same type of transaction values.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that it's important to see what these things are based off of the NOI, right? And so, there's going to be fallout in the rent market, then there's going to be a price adjustment, but I don't think that people are just going to say, hey, I'm losing my property, I need to sell it. Now, that might be a different scenario in the CMBS market, but for a lot of the mid-market stuff that we deal with, 25 to 100 units, that's typically not the case. And there might be some agency loans in there, which are fine, but a lot of these transactions that we're working on are community bank size loans. The
Sure.
loan size might be $5 to $10 million, and somebody might not want to deal with an agency. A lot of these are value add deals, and so with a value add deal, you sometimes may not want to use an agency loan as well. So, for a few of the deals that we're going to wrap this up here pretty quick, but for a few of the deals that we're working on right now, another big question mark is the due diligence process. So we went through it on a 12-unit deal. We went through it on a 41-unit deal and another 26-unit deal. So tell me about how that process went. Did we get in all the units? Was the owner okay with us going through the due diligence process? And how was it working with those inspectors as well?
Yeah, I think the good thing is inspectors and appraisers are obviously aware of the situation and have lessened their requirements as far as seeing units. And for our 12 unit, they were able to get in every unit. Obviously giving the tenants a heads up and coming in with gloves and masks on was essential. But with a smaller property like that, it was pretty easy, relatively speaking, to get into each unit.
Yeah.
For the 72 unit that we had, luckily the inspectors only needed to see about 10 of those, and there was a couple vacancies, so that was especially helpful.
Right.
And so I think really just working with the appraisers and inspectors on getting what they need as far as information, and hoping that covers most of their requirements, and then getting them in to see a couple of the units has been working. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we still have inventory. We have that 72 unit property. Thomas, give us an update on that deal so we can bring you a new buyer for this listing. Tell us a little bit about the listing, kind of the scenario behind it, and we have about a minute left. So just a high level overview of this property. We'll make sure to link to that property in this post so folks can take a look at it. But we've got debt taken care of. I can find you debt, appraisals and inspections. We can take care of that for you in Kansas City. And so let's talk a little bit about the Maple Flats property.
Sure. Yeah, this property unfortunately was canceled last week because the buyer was 1031ing into it, and their buyer canceled on their transaction. So that's why this is back to market. But appraisal came in great, inspections came in great. It's a 72 unit property just east of downtown in the Pendleton Heights neighborhood, right across the street from the Kansas City University of Medicine and Biosciences. It's great growing location, really the last area on the edge of downtown to gentrify. And I think long-term, there will be a lot of great rent growth in this area, especially being next door to the university there. But all 72 units were completely gutted and renovated about a year and a half ago. And they've been in lease up for, starting last July, they switched management. But things are starting to get going, and it's a great investment. Long-term profitability is great. And I think there's 12 one-bedrooms and 60 studios. So
awesome. Well, we will definitely make sure to get a link to the offering memorandum and to the website for that listing. I personally love that area. Have an apartment complex not very far from it. So thank you so much, Thomas, for giving us a pulse on the Kansas City market and for sharing your insights, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Logan.